Welcome to day 13 of our 28 days of connections, and today's practice I want to focus on balancing the back and the front body as much as we can. So lots of people I know struggle with their backs and tend to maybe find some of the back work in yoga more difficult, and obviously if you do have chronic bad back pain, then please don't do this exercise, or at least consult a doctor before you do. But what you might find will actually work better to sort out your back is to build up your core so that the two are working together. Guinness, that's lovely. Okay, so if you just want to come to a nice comfortable seated position, close your eyes or cast your gaze down and just settle into the moment. So taking your awareness to the points of contact with the floor, or if you're sitting on something, the points of contact. So really becoming aware of the position that you are occupying on the ground at the moment. Connecting to the support of the earth. And if you do have any back issues, then maybe now is a good opportunity just to sit up a little bit taller, just to make sure you're creating space in between those vertebrae. So it's not about heaving your back up, but just a nice gentle elongation of the spine. And you may find that this is enough for you, just to sit in a more upright position. Lola. Because if you sit more upright and maybe just focus on kind of tightening the middle section, you'll begin to work your core and strengthen your back. Just make sure you're sitting nice and tall. Maybe tuck your chin in a little bit to keep your neck long. And I don't mean down, I just mean sort of as if you can almost just slightly bring it back. But if you want to do some movement today, then maybe just begin by making those circular motions around what you've now created as a nice, tall central column. So just warming up. And if there are any parts as you go around that have little niggles, or just draw your attention, then maybe spend a little bit longer just easing and stretching into it. You can also bring your shoulders in if they're feeling a bit tight. Just begin to explore how your body feels today. And at some point, you'll find that you naturally just move in the other direction and begin the process on the other side. And then when you do move to the other side, explore it in a different way. Explore it. Notice how perhaps it might feel different on this side. So I had a little niggle just sort of round on my right hip, lower back. It was when I was going the other way I could feel, and then when I come this way feels different. And I can just move into it. You might also begin to really emphasize the motion. So rounding through the back, stretching through the front. And that's what I mean in terms of that balance. So using the chest as you come to the front, and then rounding through the spine as you go to the back. And if you've just started to sort of get into that move on that side and stretching it out, you can go back to the other side and just do the same thing. And just notice again, if having done both sides, if anything feels looser or no change at all. Just noticing. And just evening out your side, so you may then want to go back and do the other side again. Just remembering all the time, back body, front body. And it's not like the two are completely independent. So this is more a thought process rather than an actual physical move of the back independently from the front. And then just bringing your knees up and coming round onto all fours. And we're just going to do the cat-cow position. So this is a really nice one for the back and the front. But if you are struggling with any back pain, then just very gently start. Don't go straight into like a full extension. And again, focus on length, creating space, rather than the posture that you're thinking you need to make. So really draw out when you lift your head up. Stretch out, that's why stretch out that front. You should almost be able to feel it if you. And then when you come around the other way, allowing it into your shoulders, rounding through your back. But build up to what feels comfortable for you today. And if one of them doesn't feel right for you today, then listen to your body and just move from table into maybe just the stretch to the front and hold it. You don't have to move into both. And again, you could just move through into your arched back and just hold that. And take a few breaths. And as always, when we're in cat-cow, it's a really good opportunity just to check in with parts of the body in a slightly different way. So you've got the freedom to move around with your hips, shake your legs out a little bit, maybe circle your head, just generally check in. And then when you're ready, coming back into that extended child's pose, so with your arms out long, a really nice stretch through the shoulders. And then coming up and coming all the way through onto your belly. Yes. And so what we're going to do now is just come into Sphinx pose. So on our elbows. And again, first of all, don't lift up the top. You're not aiming to sort of come into that back bend. Keep a nice long spine. And then as if you're grounding down through your arms, almost as if you can pull yourself forwards and your chest forwards, pull the spine, almost as if your head can go further forward. before you then, if you want to, lift up. It's just taking the pressure off your lower back and stretching out the spine. And maintain that force in your elbows, as if you're really pulling back from your hands. And then coming down. And then lifting up onto your knees and curling your toes under and just coming to rest as best you can on those. You can take your hands to your feet and then stretching up through the chest just to straighten out the front body. Now you may not be able to stay there very long, it hurts my toes quite a lot. And you can do it lower with your toes curled under or on the floor. And just come up. Just nice to straighten out the front. Lifting the chest, stretching. And then coming down. And then we're just going to come to a plank. So you can do a forearm plank or a hand-based plank. I'm going to do a forearm plank, I think, today. Now, if you have got problems with your lower back, you may just want to stick to your knees. So you just come into alignment, making sure your bottom stays down if you can. And if you want to, you can curl your toes under and just lift up. Not long. And slowly down. And from there, coming back into your child's pose, rounding through the spine. And you might want to keep your bottom in the air for this one to really get into that stretch. So keeping your knees up, bringing your, almost if you bring your chest to the floor. And then coming up and coming over to a seated position now, crossing one leg over the other. So I've got my right leg crossed over my left, and taking my left arm, lifting up and bringing it round over, wrapping it around my right leg and taking a gentle twist. And then unfurling, bringing your leg out in the middle, maybe giving them a shake, taking the right leg over the left, lifting the right arm up, bringing it round to hug your knee, and then coming into the twist. And then coming out. And then we're just going to do a little bit more ab work. So you can just start off with your feet out in front of you, like this. And then if you want, you can just lower yourself down and hold yourself in this position here. So you should feel your core turn on if you use your core to lower you. And And then if you want to, you can lift one leg up and then the other. Keeping your arms out. And if you want to, you can straighten the legs and the arms. I'm going to stay here today. And then when you're ready, bring your feet to the floor and slowly lower down to the ground. And then we're just going to take a bridge pose. So we're just going to start by curling in the tailbone. So coming to a flat back, but just by curling in the tailbone. So taking a few moments just to tilt your pelvis from neutral to flat by curling the tailbone. So it's not a particularly big movement at all, but you should be able to feel it. And then finish off the last one and coming to a neutral spine, so just laying. And then doing the same by lifting up the chest, so we're arching the mid-back section. And then coming back to that just neutral position. And then just taking the whole movement through. So moving from the arched mid-back through to the tilted pelvis. So almost like a rocking motion. And now if you apply the same principle to your bridge, we keep maintaining that kind of rocking motion. And you may find that gradually the rocking motion goes into a small lift in the pelvis. And it's just a gradual process. So you're not going straight up, you're just moving through. Each time maybe going a little bit higher or not. Really focusing on extending that spine, pushing your knees away, drawing your feet energetically towards your bottom. Just moving through that. And you may find a point at which you come up into your bridge and you feel comfortable to hold it. You may want to even take your arms up over your head just to stretch out a bit more, but if it's too much for your back, then please don't do this. And then bringing your arms back, and then very gently beginning the same process as we did. So from your peak height of your bridge, then slowly bring yourself down, and then taking yourself up a little bit lower than you did for your peak, and then back down.
So you're gradually making your way down each time, a little going lower, until you return to that, just that rotation in the body, and then that gets smaller and smaller. And then we pause. And then we draw our knees into our chest, forgive me, and then just give yourself a nice big hug. You can lift your head up if that's comfortable, or you can keep your head on the mat, but just giving yourself a nice little back massage onto the floor, rocking from side to side if you want. You can even take your knees around in circles just to loosen off your hips. And the other way. Nice and gentle. And then taking one leg out straight and then the other. Getting yourself nice and comfortable now. And again, the option now is to just lay here for a couple of minutes, 5 minutes, just allowing the energy you've created in the practice to flow around your body before you move on with whatever you have to do next. But don't rush to get up. So thank you for joining me today, day 13 of our 28 days of connections, and I will see you all again tomorrow.